Welcome everyone, it's Dr. G here. Hey, this video may have a little bit different look and feel. We're mixing things up a bit today because I'm going to do some screen sharing because our topic for today is segmentation tools, and I want to share with you some interesting tools that I've used in my career that I think will be really fun for you as well. So if you take a step back, let's discuss again what the definition of segmentation, targeting, and positioning is, or STP marketing, as some of us in the biz call it. Really, what STP marketing is the strategic process of segmenting your audience or dividing people into groups of people who have something in common. The second thing you do is you take those prioritized groups and you decide of those groups who are most likely to take advantage of the value of my products and services, and we call that targeting. Once you have selected a target audience, then you really discuss based on who they are, what value you bring to the table for them. So why do we go ahead and do this? Why do we spend so much time segmenting our markets? The reason is most people don't buy a product. As much as we think we're really great, why are we going to spend resources on trying to find people who have no use for our products? So if you take a look at, let's say, the exercise or fitness industry, you could select 3 different types of value propositions for a fitness center. Maybe you're Planet Fitness, and Planet Fitness is really the low-cost provider. They're not, I'm going to go to the gym and make myself look good. It's really about nuts and bolts, getting in and out. Whereas you may have Equinox or some really club-like scenario where it's going to be very expensive. You're going to have all your spa services available. You're probably going to spend maybe $1,000 a month to have the ability to have personal trainers and all of these other sorts of types of fitness activities that make sense for your lifestyle. Then there's people like me who the last thing I want to do is work out in front of my clients or my students, so I prefer to work out at home. And there's, products that serve that value, such as Mirror or Peloton or some other products where I can have a fitness experience in my own home. So you have to think about the value that you're creating for that particular target audience. And that's why we do this, because you don't want to waste time and energy and money on marketing to somebody that it doesn't really matter to them. So what I'm going to talk about today are segmentation tools, and you can use a variety of sources to understand the segments that are most likely to use your products. And what we want to do is we want to find people that have the needs for the solution our product solves. Now, when you're developing a segmentation strategy in a corporate environment or in an entrepreneurial environment or a small business, usually we'll have anywhere from 5 to 7 segments that you're focused on, and then you can prioritize of those segments your target audience. Once you have a target audience, then you create what we call personas or characterizations of who these people look and feel like in their actions and their behaviors, because it's easier for us to focus on an image or a character as we build out our promotions and our communications and our solutions, to have like a real person in your mind. So I have a toolkit that if you're in my entrepreneurial marketing class, you're going to use for your segmentation, target, or target market and positioning assignment for your product or service. And I've included 3 different tools in here. One is a segmentation grid for you to think through the 4 different types of segmentations and try to size each market. The second thing is something you've already done when you've created your value proposition, and then that's creating a perceptual or value proposition template based on each one of those 3 to 5 segments. And then finally, I want you to work through developing a characterization or a persona of one of your target audiences. So you will find this, if you're taking my course, you'll find this in Canvas under the target market assignment. And I want you to pull these down and look through them as we go through this exercise. So as a reminder, if you've watched some of my segmentation, targeting, and positioning videos, you know that the first thing that we do is we try to identify certain types of segments. And we do this, there's really 4 different key areas that we look at: geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. And they answer the questions where, meaning geographically, where do these people live? Are they in a rural area? Are they in a urban area? What sort of climate? Is it hot or is it cold? Is the population dense or not? Are you in a specific city or country that might have different cultural attributes? So that's the where. The second thing we look at is the who. Now these are all of the demographic informations, pieces of informations about your target audience, things that are that you can purchase quite easily, such as age, gender, income, life stage, occupation, all of those factual pieces of information that describe the who. The why, now we're really starting to get into the nuts and bolts of the personalities of people, their interests, attitudes, opinions. And this is when you can start to couple the why people do what they do, or why they have the needs, or why they have a product or service they're interested in terms of their personality, the things they like to do, their hobbies, their activities, their concerns, their could even be like a political affiliation or religious affiliation. All of these psychographic things answers the why. And then finally, the how. The how is looking at past behaviors, purchase behaviors, where somebody is in the buying stage. Are they looking for something brand new? Are they an existing customer? Where and how often they buy certain products and services. These are the behavioral attributes that we know about particular people. So you take these 4 different questions or answers to these questions, and it will predict the what people are doing. So the first tool that I have for you, I want you to go through each one of those 4 areas of segmentation, and I want you to think about creating at least 3 different types of segments. So if you think of a segment, could be something like a college student, or for example, a product that you're an educational product. I may have college students. I may have a corporate Fortune 500 companies who are looking for marketing help. I may have, small businesses or entrepreneurs who want to help build a product and bring it to market. So those would be 3 distinct types of segments that I would be interested in doing. So what I want you to do for your product or service is to think of 3 to 5 very different distinct segments that have different needs for your product. And I want you to think through geographically, what implications do various segments have on geography for you? And then think about the marketing mix. How does geography impact your product? Think of maybe you're an apparel company. Are you going to be, having a big fluffy, parka type jacket and market to somebody who lives in the desert? Probably not. So think of all of your marketing mix as it relates to geography, demography, psychographic, behavioral, and then each one of these little separate things you're going to fill in the toolkit, so you'll have a really nice portrait of 3 to 5 segments when you're done. Then what I want you to do is to take each one of those segments and do a market sizing estimate, of which you can find how to do in my market sizing video, or a Fermi estimate, as you will do if you're doing your target market assignment. Okay. So there's many different ways you can collect information for your building out your segments. I have 3 here that are companies that really what they focus in on is segmentation. And if you've taken any other marketing courses, you're probably familiar with Claritas, Prism. They're owned by Nielsen. Esri, which is a mapping software service, and Valves, which really kind of hones in on that retailer, that supermarket segment. So I have URLs here for each one of these different segmentation providers. Now Nielsen right here is what they do is they look at different neighborhoods, zip codes. You could go down to the block level, and they will create groups of people with various different geographies, lifestyles, life stages, media consumption, all of these very distinct type of things that you can look at to categorize your segments. And so if I click on Claritas here, Claritas is not a free product, but you can get some good free information from their website. I've used them in the corporate world. I've actually used their financial services products called Cycle, which is really amazing. It will help you identify on a different, even down to a neighborhood or a block level, the types of segments that are there. So what I want you to do is go in and plug in a zip code, 84780. That's a local zip code here in St. George, Utah. Hit submit. And so again, this is just a free little resource. What this is showing you is in the zip code of Washington, Utah, you will see that they've got 5 different segments that they have presented to you. And these it's going to give you some pretty high level information, but it will show you things like income range, household comparisons, household size, population by age. So you can see that this is this is a pretty wealthy suburb of St. George, Utah, so you've got a lot of older snowbirds, population density, and then you can click into each of these different segments and it will give you a little bit of a profile about who these segments are. Some of their lifestyle traits, their demography, income, etc. So this is an interesting tool that you can use to start to think about different geographies, and Claritas is really good at psychographic information. So that's Nielsen Prism. Now what you're going to look at is really high level United States or zip code type of information. If you wanted to work with Claritas on an individual basis, you can do that and pay for their software, and they will give you far more robust information based on even population counts of different segments within your areas. The second one is Tapestry. Now, Tapestry is another interesting segmentation tool. This is by Esri. And you can see here, these are all the segments that they have within the United States. If you click on the URL, they have a really similar process that Claritas has on their website, where if you're just poking around like we are, you can scroll down and put in the zip code. Let's see, 84780 is the one that I used before. Now here again, here's the neighborhood of where I live, and here are their segments. So they've got 3 different segments that they're using here with median age, household size, diversity index, and then here you can see they go into disposable income. You can look at the average credit card debt, apparel spend, medical insurance, etc. So again, this is just giving you a little bit of a snapshot of who these segments are within a zip code. And again, if you're interested for your company to have more of a detailed look at segmentation, these companies are really great. They provide consulting services, or you can use your software on their own, and you could get into some really detailed information because these are the number of segments in Washington, Utah. They showed us the top 3. So this is a segmentation model. Remember, I said for your product or service, you're going to develop 3 to 5, which may or may not look anything like these, but that's the level of detail they go through. Now here's vals. Vals, again, is some different sorts of segmentation models that you have. And what you're going to do with vals, if you're taking my course, I think I had mentioned to you that this is a snapshot, and vals really kind of hones in on the retail and in some of like supermarkets, things like that, a little bit of medical device, but they're going to give you a little bit of a snapshot of who they are. Now, what's kind of fun that I'd like you to do is I want you to take this survey here that they have on the vals website. You're going to go through and answer some questions, and basically what they're going to do is they're going to plug you into one or two of their primary segments, and you can download the profile of that segment when they're done and determine, is this a fit for me or not? Now, I will say I do this activity every semester when I teach entrepreneurial marketing, and many times there's a disconnect between what you as a consumer believe your segment is based on what vals are telling. So it makes, none of these segments are 100% accurate, but they're good generalizations. And that's basically what a segment is. So again, here is a segmentation tool that you are going to use if you're taking my class. Basically, what I want you to do is to come up with 3 to 5 different segments, because you really should have that for a new product. And then, go through and in each one of the segments, say for example, for my clothing business that my son and I have, we have 5 or 6 different segments. We've got the skater market. We have more of the what we would call the hip hop rapster market. We've got the athletic market. So we would go through, and we have done this with our product, is to go through and talk about geography, where we're going to focus on the where for each of these. What are the demographics of these particular segments? What are their interests, their lifestyles, their attitudes, opinions, etc.? And, how do they behave? How do they shop? Do they use a credit card? Do they like cash? Do they shop for clothing more than once a month, or just when we have a specific drop? And then we try to estimate the size of that market. So you're going to do this exercise and come up with some segments for yourself. The next thing I want you to think about is, as you've got like 3 to 5 segments, I want you to hone in on one. So let's say, for example, in our case, maybe it is the athlete leisure wear. So we're going to hone in on one, and you're going to come up with a characterization of someone within that segment. So this would be Beatrice. Beatrice is a person, excuse me. Beatrice, we're just going to talk about her as if you're building her personality, the things she loves to do, her demographics. She lives in the city. She's a graphic designer. She's a college graduate. We have some information on her personality. How does she feel most of the time? What are her needs? And how do those needs then, we can translate that into our product. Where does she consume her social media? Where does she shop? What are the brands she loves? So you're going to take your segment and you're going to hone in on a couple of personas based on your target audience and describe these people. Because we're all individuals at the end of the day, but it's easier for us to be able to create some personas for people, because that will help us bring those characters to life, and it will also help us with our communication process. So just to wrap it up, again, use a variety of sources to understand your segment. We looked at several of them that I've used in my career. I also want you to look at Facebook and Amazon and other marketplaces, because they have a bunch of wonderful free segmentation tools. And if you are using any of those tools, they are going to have you walk through your segmentation for their particular products, which is really great. I want you to create 3 to 5 segments for your product or service you're working on, and create at least one persona for your target audience. So hopefully this makes sense to you. And remember that segmentation, targeting, and positioning is the very most important thing you'll ever do in marketing. Because remember, at the end of the day, not everybody's going to want or love your product as much as we want them to. So we need to focus in our time, our energy, and resources on those segments who are the most likely to take advantage of our products. So take care and reach out if you have any questions.